Hi, everyone. I am Kristen Morrison. I am the founder of Six Figure Pet Business Academy and the creator of the Prosperous Pet Business online conference. And I'm here to welcome Patti Moran. I'm going to be talking to her about not cutting corners, the not so secret secrets to establishing a solid foundation for your pet business. And those of you who are watching probably are aware that Patti Moran is the founder of Pet Sitters International. She also wrote the book Pet Sitting for Profit. And even if you're not a pet sitter, if you're a dog trainer, if you're a pet groomer, I really encourage you to watch this segment because you're going to learn a lot about how to create a solid foundation for your pet business, regardless of what kind of pet business you have. So I just really want to welcome you today, Patti. Thank you so much for being here again this year.
Well, thank you for inviting me back. It's a pleasure.
It's great to have you. And, you've always, I'm just going to jump in because, I want to really figure out, what are the secrets to establishing a solid foundation for your pet business. And you've always encouraged pet care providers to go the extra mile with their jobs. And how did you develop this expectation for others as well as yourself?
Well, it may be genetic. I don't know, they say people are born type A personalities, but I really think it's the way that I was raised. My mother ingrained something in my head when I was about 5 years old. And I used to help her make beds. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5. And as we would make the beds, she taught me this saying, and it's, if at once you have begun, never leave it till it's done. Be it big or be it small, do it well or not at all. And that has really been a guiding philosophy to me in my life. And when I started in pet sitting 30-some years ago, I knew that I had to do it right, that I had to do it well because it was unheard of. And I had to be better than the choices then, which were a neighborhood kid, inviting a family member to stop by and look after the pets. And especially when you're working with pets, that are living creatures, and you're going into someone's home where all their worldly possessions are. I mean, there's no room for mistakes. You got to get it right. And it's not that I got it all right when I was first starting out, but that's one of the reasons that I'm here today is because you and I, we want to make sure that others that are new to the pet care business, that they do build a strong foundation and that they can be successful.
Yeah, and it's such an intimate job that pet sitters especially have, where they are, like you said, going in to people's lives, really, into their homes, with their possessions, with their animals, which are often like their kids. And it's just an incredible amount of responsibility. And yeah. And so if somebody is going to be doing it the right way and not take shortcuts, what questions should somebody be asking themselves who is thinking about starting a pet sitting business or who is getting into the pet care industry?
Well, first of all, you need to really take a hard look and determine if you are suited to work with pets. I mean, because it sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like it might be easy, and it can be fun, but you need to really think about it. And I mean, how do you feel about pee and poop? Occasional vomit.
Yeah. You see a lot of that and experience cleaning up a lot of that.
Yeah. So that's just one of the things. But if you're thinking about pet sitting, you need to determine, do you like sunrises? Because there's a lot of getting up early with the job. Often in pet care, you're working on weekends because a lot of times when pet owners need your services, it is on a weekend. And that can be in, grooming and other professions as well, where there's weekend work. How about your physical shape? Can you physically lift dogs? Can you exercise them? Can you walk dogs larger than you are? How about bites? Have you considered that that's a risk of this type of work? cat scratches, cat bites, dog bites. Not something that you find in other professions, but it's certainly something to think about. And then just because you love pets, pets belong to humans. So can you get along with the humans who, are going to be making the reservations for your services? And then probably, I don't know, something else I think that is important to think about is, can you handle a broken heart? Because when you're working with pets, it's bound to happen. They don't live as long as humans typically do. And so you can become very attached to them. And then when one dies, you can have a broken heart for a while.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of heart-wrenching, actually. I just flashed on this big Rottweiler. When I first started my business, I hadn't really had a lot of experience with Rottweilers. And there was this one who just was amazing. He was a dog that I walked early on in my pet sitting and dog walking career, and his name was Jaeger, and I would call him my doggy soulmate. I mean, he got me, he really understood me. I understood him, and he died at 5 from a heart attack, and it was devastating to me. I mean, I just remember his owner calling me, and she lived about 5 doors down, and I ran over there, and we just hugged each other and cried. And that was my first experience with losing a pet that I cared for, and it was really hard. And it happens a lot, if you have a lot of clients, it's happened. They also move away too, and that can be hard. Yeah. And I just want to let everybody know, those of you who are thinking about starting a pet sitting business, we're kind of saying some of the big challenges that arise as a result of starting a pet sitting company, having one. And there are also so many benefits, right? We're just kind of giving you the reality of it, because a lot of people look at it and they go, oh, it's so fun. I mean, I would hire people and really have to lay it down for them and say, it's hard work, it's a great job and it's hard work.
Well, and I think, stressing the pros and the cons of it is very important to do. And especially now, Kristen, because, they say life is cyclical. And when I started in pet sitting 30 some years ago, I was competing with the neighborhood kid and the people who thought it was easy to just print a business card or hang out a shingle and call themselves pet sitter. And so what I and you and so many others have done is really worked hard to put professionalism in this business. And darn now if we aren't seeing a whole new resource for hobbyist pet sitters because of the internet. A lot of people think that it's just really easy to go and register online and call yourself a pet sitter. So I think the people getting into the business really do need to understand that there's a downside to it. But once you know the downside and that you can work to overcome the obstacles and establish the foundation, then it can be a great career.
Yeah, absolutely. And, along those lines, Patti, a lot of people contact me about their fear around, there are all these other hobby, pet sitters out there. I feel like I have too much competition. What advice would you give to those pet business owners that are concerned about their competitors?
Well, a lot of what we're talking about today, the not so secret secrets, if someone will really take these to heart and not cut corners in establishing their business, and which we'll talk about more, the not so secret secrets. But I say you've got to equip yourself as a professional by doing things right, setting the business up. Then from doing things the right way, you're going to have a confidence about what you're doing. So that's going to make it easy to sell your services as a professional. And then once you've sold the client on them, you've got to deliver with a quality service. And, they say the cream always rises to the top. So yes, there's always going to be the hobbyist, but it's going to be the ones who are taking it seriously, who have gotten the business license for their business, who carry the insurance, who have gone the extra mile to present themselves as a professional, who are going to be the ones who win.
That's great. And so diving in, what are the not so secret secrets?
Well, at PSI, we think that there are several things that go into being a professional. And we actually tell pet owners to ask these questions, to look for these things when they are interviewing pet sitters. And one is, as I just said, do you have a business license? City, counties, and states, just depending upon where you live, often have the need to actually take out a license to say that you're operating a legal business. So it's important to make sure that you've got that in place for your business. Business insurance, not only obtaining it, but understanding what it covers before you actually need it. Not just thinking, oh, well, I took out insurance and then this happened, so I have insurance. Well, did you read the fine print? Did you talk with the agent and really get your questions answered? So it's very important to not only have a comprehensive policy, but also to understand, so what is it going to cover if you need it? Background checking, that's a process to go through. We think that's a very important part of being a professional. Can a pet sitter provide client references? And not only client references, but is there a veterinarian that you work with, even a local groomer, any doggy daycare professionals that you refer back and forth to, people like that who can attest to the type of person you are and the kind of pet care that you provide. How about your training? What kind of education have you had that qualifies you to be a pet sitter? And here, this can be from pet first aid training. Have you earned your PSI's certificate in pet sitting? Have they taken any of your classes? But it's things like that that set you apart from the person who really works another full-time job and lists on a site that in their spare time they'd like to make money to go on a vacation.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And then one other thing that we think is important, but that is, are you a member of any professional or trade groups? And, sometimes working with pets can be, even though it can be a great career, it can be a lonely career. You can get tired of talking to the pets. So we think that having a membership in an organization that allows you to network with others in your field, that keeps you abreast of what's going on, that keeps you aware of the trends that are happening in your industry, any legislation that might affect you. We think that these are it's a very important credential to show that you're serious about what you do.
Yeah, serious enough to join an association. It says something about your business. And I love what you said about the business license too. I get that. I get asked that a lot. Do I need a business license? And if you're going to be a professional, you do need a business license. And a lot of pet owners will see that a pet sitter is licensed, bonded, and insured, and they think there's a specific license for pet sitting. And new pet sitters might think that too, but what it really is it's a business license. So just want to clarify that. Yeah. And any other areas that you've seen that pet care business owners tend to cut corners on?
Well, one thing that I've seen and we've seen here at Pet Sitters International is when someone's starting out, they need to properly research the name that they're selecting for their business. We've just had too many instances where a person did not research whether the name that they wanted to call their business was either state or federally trademarked. And so they open the business and they have their website developed and all their business materials printed, and then 3 or 4 months later, here comes a certified letter from an attorney saying you need to cease and desist the use of your business name, as my client owns it in another state, or so that's sort of learning a hard lesson, an expensive way, because you may actually find that you are at fault and have to change things, and then also explain to your clients why you're no longer such and such a business, but your new name is such and such. So we just think it's smarter at the outset to invest whatever amount of money it takes to hire an attorney and get this checked out before you actually go into business.
That's such a great point, Patti, because I've experienced that. I experienced that a number of times with my own business name when I had a pet sitting company.
Really?
Yeah, I had a few people use the business name. And in fact, and I didn't get a trademark for a while. It was interesting. I had my business for 18 years, and I think it was in year 8 that I finally woke up and went, it had been on my mind. I need to get the trademark. I need to get the trademark. But it was one of those things that I just kept shelving on my to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, it was my birthday, unfortunately, but I woke up, and went, I need to check the trademark. I need to get the trademark for my business name. And somebody had applied for the trademark with my business name and my tagline. So he had essentially taken it and said, he doesn't have the trademark.
Yeah.
And so what happens is there's a month where when somebody tries to get the trademark, there's an opportunity to oppose it if you've been in business for a really long time. And I had at that point 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a lawyer and I was able to oppose his trademark and get it because I had my website up for many years and starting his business. But it was a really painful lesson. It cost me a lot of money to get that trademark. I did get it and I was very grateful. And I really recommend all the time now that people go to it's the United States Patent and Trademark website. The web address, I know it by heart, is uspto.gov. And do a search. Now, just because you do a search, it doesn't mean that your business name is available for you. So you really need to do a search and then actually hire a lawyer to do a more in-depth search. And I really recommend, even though you can do it yourself on the website, and it's cheaper, to actually get a lawyer to do it, because I've had a few different businesses and I've tried to do it myself and it's come back, oh, you can't get the trademark, but then I have a lawyer do it and I've been able to get the trademark. So getting a lawyer is worth the extra money that it takes, to actually get the trademark and have it done right. So I love that you brought that up, because, the more pet sitting businesses and dog training businesses and pet grooming businesses there are out there, the more that particular name is going to be used over and over. So if it's a name that you love, get the trademark as soon as possible. Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to learn sort of the hard way, but it's valuable advice.
It really is. And, I also remember working with a coaching client who was using a business name that was a franchise name. And I said to her, you might want to look at getting another name. And it turns out 2 years later, they did come after her and she had to change her name. It was pretty painful for her. So, doing it sooner rather than later before you're established in your business. And Any other areas that you've seen pet business owners cut corners that it can be really detrimental to their business?
Well, as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, their insurance, making sure that you do have the right insurance coverage in place. And that's not just business liability, but, do you need workers' comp if you have employees, any automobile rider if you're going to be transporting pets, and then to really research and compare policies. It used to be that it was such a hard thing to find good insurance for pet care businesses. But now, we actually work with insurance companies that have track records and have histories about how well they pay claims and how well they know the industry and the needs of pet care professionals.
It's great. And, I also, when I'm working with pet business owners and they do have a claim, I personally, I don't know how you feel, Patti, but I personally recommend that they don't file a claim unless it's over a certain amount, say over $2,000 or something, because a lot of insurance companies will only allow 2 or 3 claims before they drop you. And if you don't have insurance, you can't do business. At least it's not wise to do business. So really think about that claim before you take action on it. And sometimes it's just better to pay it out of pocket if it's a smaller claim. I've had pet sitters, have their insurance cover something for $700, and then that's been a mark against their their records. So
Well,
yeah.
you do hear that about insurance. I mean, even our own, private automobile insurance, if you have so many wrecks and things, but, it doesn't cost anything to pick up the phone and call your agent and just tell them what happened and ask for their advice. I mean, because they want to keep your business. So they really do recommend that. It's such a small claim, you'd be better off to do that than, my experience has been that a reputable agent is going to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. And I know the big ones that are out there are just phenomenal. So yeah, really, really important. Any other tips that you have for conference attendees who want to create success in their business, Patti?
Well, I'm a big advocate of having a thorough service contract or a service agreement that, sets expectations as far as what you're going to be providing to the client, when you're going to provide it, how much it's going to cost them, and then also what do you expect from the client, where's the pet food kept, things like that. So I just think it's always better to have things in writing and make sure you have a signed contract. You'll hear people say, well, a contract's not worth the paper it's written on, but it is, and I've seen too many cases where the contract was an important part of, it's no longer he said, she said, it's there in black and white.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, I kind of flashed when you said that on, there was a very famous actor who had hired my company to provide pet care for him, for his pets. And it was a number of years ago, and it was around the holidays, and we were so busy, but it was this actor and I made it happen, and I kept saying, please sign the contract. I had sent him the contract a number of times and he kept saying, I'll sign it, I'll sign it. And he ended up not signing it and canceling very last minute. And there was nothing we could do about it, and it's like we had reserved that time for him, and then it was too late to let somebody else take his spot. So it really, having a contract is great. And you need to have clients sign it and to get it back in order to have it be worth something, so really important. And often what you can do, and I would recommend that you check with a business lawyer about this, but sometimes what I've done when clients are going away suddenly, we have an updated contract. Sometimes what I've done is actually attached it in the email and said, write back that you agree to the terms. And that has often been fine until they have a chance to actually sign it. And so we can get a copy of it. And there are a lot of softwares out there that allow you to actually have clients sign it, just go in and sign it.
Yeah.
Software. So that's a really great way to deal with it instead of snail mail, which takes a long time.
I know.
Watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with your actor, you couldn't even enforce your cancellation policy then because you didn't have a signed contract.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. Yeah. And so it's funny because there was an article about him the other day. I'm not going to say his name, but he was on the front page of a local newspaper that we have. And I just, every time I see his name or I see his picture, I'm just like, oh, he didn't sign a contract, but it was really my fault. I actually shouldn't have taken I should have said, we can't take the reservation unless you sign it, So anyway, these things are all lessons learned, it's important for business owners, I think, to not beat themselves up if they make a mistake, but to learn from it. That's really what I'm hearing you say too, Patti, is just, learn from.
Yeah. And I'm also saying learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
Like we don't want you to make these, because we have made them. So, so take the information and go forth. And
that's right. Prosper. Go forth and prosper.
Right. Well, and speaking of prospering, that's another thing where I think people new to the business and just starting out, a shortcut they sometimes take that they shouldn't is they underprice their services. They really underprice their value. And just recently we had a newer pet sitter call in, and she had taken a job sitting for over 200 birds.
Oh my God.
And one of the birds had died. And so of course the pet owner was very upset and was threatening a lawsuit. You know, and of course, you know, not just for what she had paid for this bird. You know, some birds can cost quite a bit of money, but you know, the emotional loss. And anyway, you know, we said, gosh, 200 birds, you know, how much did you charge? $22.
Oh, geez.
Well, I mean, you know, I just didn't think it would take that long. And, you know, I'm trying to build up my business, and, you know, and then here you might be looking at a lawsuit of thousands. And I mean, it's like, what were you thinking? You know, I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying you really don't need to just take anything and everything that comes along. You don't need to let a client talk you down and say, well, it's only putting a little bit of seed in every, you know, or filling water dishes, or you know, it's not a place to cut corners. You are providing a valuable service in caring for someone's animals that they're not only emotionally attached to, but maybe have paid quite a bit of money for. So it's something to really take seriously as far as how are you going to set your prices? What is your cancellation fee going to be? You know, if you're asked to go above and beyond what you normally do, are you going to have an hourly charge, or, you know, how are you going to make a living at this?
It's true. Yeah, a lot of pet business owners start very low, and that can end up biting them in the butt because they can only raise it so much per year. And I don't know how you feel, Patti, but I often recommend that pet business owners don't raise their rates more than once a year with their existing clients, because, you know, it just lowers morale. It's not good for business. So if you're charging a really low amount, it's going to take you a long time to work your way up to what your competitors are charging. So really do some investigating and see what's happening out there. And
if your fees aren't set adequately, you know, you're going to find that you resent the job.
Totally.
You know, you can find that you're working harder than you're actually getting paid for, and it can lead to burnout faster. So, you know, that's something that, you know, we can't stress to newcomers enough, is to be confident about what you're providing. Once you've equipped yourself, you know, with the credentials, with the insurance, with the business license, to go out there and say, I am a professional and this is what I charge, and I'm worth it.
It's true. It's great. Good advice. It's so important. I wish I had learned that when I first started. I remember charging neighbors $5 for a dog walk. That was my very first client, and you can imagine how long it took. I mean, they were with me for many years, and you can imagine how long it took to, you know, scale. Yeah. So lesson learned. Thank you so much, Patti. I really appreciate your time and energy and setting aside, you know, this time to be with us here today. And how can attendees find out more about you and your work?
Well, I hope that they will go to our website, which is petsit.com. And there we have just a wealth of information available to people thinking about the career of pet sitting, as well as for pet owners, as far as what to look for in a pet sitter, questions to ask, and then, of course, all the good things that come with being a member of Pet Sitters International.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Patti. I noticed I've been looking at this adorable cat picture behind you. It's it's so fun.
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the cover of one of our magazines, and so that's the original that the cover came from.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really cute. Whimsical.
So thank you. That was many years ago. You want me to find a copy of it and send it to you?
I would love it.
So you have a cover? Okay, then you could frame it. Yeah. I'll let you cut some corners and
Great. I'll have it behind me next year. It'll be right here.
Great. Yeah, but anyway, I think this is you know, great what you're doing as far as bringing industry professionals together. And like I say, I'm just tickled to be one of the ones that you invite for it, and wish you lots of success with this.
Thank you so much, Patti. Have a great day. Take good care.
You too. Bye-bye.